Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. A big welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network, where we celebrate people who have elevated listening skills. If you'd like to join our team, you can find out more on our website, usaglobaltv.com. Our show today is The Wise Ones, and our topic is what to know about living a pain-free, healthy lifestyle. Ask Mike Martin. Joining me for this episode, of course, is the star of our show, Mr. red.olaughlin. We work very closely together on the publishing of my 2 books that are already out, and a 3rd one for children that is coming out, as well as a 4th one. Red has accomplished so much in his life, and he always stays grounded and down to earth. He's extremely well educated, well accomplished, and is always out there networking and meeting new people. Let's bring him onto the show. Hello.
Thank you so very much, Dr. JACALYN. It's a privilege to be here with you, as always.
Thank you. It's always a lot of fun. We always learn from our guests and from each other. And for people who are joining for the first time, we always have new people, whether it's on TV, radio, or podcast. Tell our audience a little bit about your background, and you're extremely very wise yourself. How did you get to be this way?
I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, you fix a problem. Treat a symptom, and you'll always be treating symptoms. My chemical background came because that was my first love back in sophomore year in high school. I took it and I fell in love with it, decided to major in it, got a degree in it. However, I didn't get a chance to practice it back then because I got an invitation to Vietnam. And our guest today is also a Vietnam veteran that we'll talk a little bit about that. He has a special program in his life that he dedicates to that. But regardless, as my wife came down with breast cancer a few years ago, I started using my chemistry background to research what can I do to help alleviate some of these side effects. And all of a sudden, I used to be in the self-improvement motivation business. I had some books and some CDs. I was going around the country speaking. Then all of a sudden I said, oh, I really like this a whole lot more. So I got in the health and wellness area, and I found out that I really like the area of longevity. And that's what I've written books in. That's what I speak about all the time. The show immediately following this way on the USA Global TV and Radio Network is called Talking Heads. Today, immediately following the show, let's see, a little less than an hour from now, I'll be talking about brain health and your second brain, your gut. This is a 6-part series. This is number 5 on brain health and mental illness. And there's a lot of things that happen in our gut that actually create a problem in our brain that could actually end up as some kind of mental disorder. And so it's always know that if you're going to fix something, let's fix the cause of something and not just treat it with a Band-Aid or an aspirin. And beyond that, let's go ahead and begin to introduce our speaker for today. Mike Martin, I met through networking, fellow Navy guy. He's a supply corps officer. He was in Vietnam a little before I was. And we were comparing the other day. He's also part of what's called the Holistic Chamber of Commerce. And I was speaking at that event. We were comparing notes, and it turns out that I am about a week or 2 older than him, not much. It was just kind of coincidental. We were talking about, well, this, that, and anyway, it turned out that way. And we've been networking back and forth in person and during COVID over Zoom. We both belong to the Houston's Veterans Chamber of Commerce, Holistic Chamber of Commerce, and on his, quote, side gig, but it's really his primary focus in life, is how to help people get rid of pain. And this is all non-prescription stuff that works very, very well. He's got some fantastic success stories. And with that, Mike, please join us.
Hi
Hi,
there,
Mike.
everybody. How are y'all?
Hi, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, Mike, I am always interested to learn about alternatives other than pharmaceuticals and how we can heal holistically. Red knows that I'm a big fan of his work. I've embraced a number of the things that he's suggested into my life. So I'm thrilled that you're here. Thank you so much. I look forward to learning from you today. Why is it you're passionate about this subject, Mike?
Well, as Red mentioned, I am a Vietnam vet. I'm Navy. Um, I was not on board a ship. Most people think all the Navy guys were on ships. Well, no, there was a bunch of us that were shore based. So actually, boots on the ground there. And what I was involved in was supply, as Red mentioned. I was actually at 22 years old. I was effectively a trucking foreman, and the guys were taking the cargo off of the merchant marine ships and Navy supply and ammo ships, and I was coordinating all the trucking. So I was doing the logistics to get it delivered where it needed to go in the greater Da Nang, South Vietnam area. Being in Vietnam, I was exposed to the water. We all were. We're drinking it, showering, et cetera, et cetera. And this is after the Agent Orange stuff had been sprayed up in the highlands, in the mountains. All of that dioxin stuff seeps through and gets into the groundwater, and eventually would get down to us 90 miles away on the coast. So I have been exposed to Agent Orange. I am Agent Orange affected, and all they would do is prescribe pills and pills and pills, and I kept getting more and more side effects. I've had to basically push back on the Western medical system within the VA and ask for help. I have a second doctor that I work who's a naturopath as well as an MD, and that's helped balance some of the things and reduce some of the meds that I've had to take. Through another Vietnam vet that I know, Army guy, he had to jump out of a Huey helicopter about 10 feet too early because they were taking incoming. Uh, Obviously, with a 75 to 100-pound pack on their back, that messed up his back rather significantly. Um, he had found a topical analgesic cream made from nature's ingredients, multiple ingredients, and he found some relief. Didn't make it totally go away, but it did provide relief for him. And it's now, 1,000 stories have been developed over the last 13 years that I have been using. And for the last 10, I've been actually out marketing these products both to individuals and setting up other, storefronts that might want to sell it to their folks. Um, Fantastic product, privately held. Products are mixed, and I say mixed, it's not manufactured because all we're doing is taking individual quantities of ingredients, mixing them together in a vat, and then we put them into whatever appropriate container we're going to use, a jar, a tube, a pump bottle, et cetera, on our various different uh, products that we have. Some are a little stronger, some are a little less, some are targeted with some special ingredients, say, for example, for the feet or for the hands. So, different things to do different things. But again, all nature's ingredients are manufacturing or mixing is reviewed on a daily basis. We have an FDA monitor in our facility, and every single one of my products does have an FDA label describing it either as an over the counter pain relief product or a homeopathic pain relief product, because some of our ingredients are indeed homeopathic. So it's done wonders for me, and I'm just a living, breathing example. I had just recently been told 13 years ago by the VA doctors that not today, Mike, but within the next 4 to 5 years, you're going to have to. You'll be coming in here and begging us to do knee replacement. That was 13 years ago, I really started using this stuff about 10 years ago. I started on my knees. I used it more than was suggested at the beginning. And eventually I started weaning myself off of using it every single day. In fact, today I only use it maybe once or twice a month, simply because some of those homeopathic ingredients are staying in there and I don't have to put it on as often as I used to. Um, and on top of that, I have not had to get surgery. That's the biggest blessing that I have. Uh, in the meantime, I have had to get, because of Agent Orange, I had a triple bypass. That triple bypass, um, the first thing they were saying, oh, oxys, oxys, more oxys. I said, no oxys. They gave me some Tylenol 500s, and that was taking the edge off. And then I asked my kids to come, and they brought me some of my lotion, the one that I call the Max, and I was able to sneak it on. It doesn't have a big odor like most of the stuff does, so they couldn't detect it either, and it helped to alleviate my pain. It took the edge off, and it speeded up the healing process where I was coming back together. That was kind of a very interesting, what I call positive side effect. So that's just one little story. There's a number of them out there.
Mike, can I take you back one moment before we get, because you have so many different aspects of your life, but one that I think is kind of interesting is the fact that the Vietnam history, from people who actually lived through it, is brought live to various audiences, and you're very active in that. Could you give us a little bit of background on what that is and how you contribute?
Sure, and I'd love to. Yeah, I'm actually been speaking. I was as we say in the Navy, a plank holder in establishing a Vietnam Veterans Organization in Northern California, and in that organization, um, we established a speakers bureau that was an outreach speakers bureau. So we were going out and trying to give the real history of Vietnam from the perspective of the individual speakers. So we talked about living history and what we went through. We gave information that was factual from DoD statistics, and we usually brought the message home to high school juniors and seniors were the primary audience. Although we've talked at the college level, I've talked to. We've done Zoom calls where we've done them all over the country. Just last year, I did it. There was a bunch of homeschoolers in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they got together. They got them all together, and we had a presentation and then a Q&A session with them. So we present. It's myself. I sometimes will get involved. An Army infantry officer. We've been doing this for about the past 22, 23 years, and we'll be hitting the 100,000 mark here in early 2023. So, Red, thank you for mentioning that. And with my contact information, if anybody's interested in establishing something like that, just give me a call. Let's have a conversation about how to do what, when, where, that kind of deal. The bulk of the speakers right now are located in Northern California, but then I've got a small crew of guys here in Houston, Texas, where I'm located.
Thank you for sharing that, Mike. And also thank you so much for your service. I really appreciate that. I would love to just talk about something that people don't talk about that much when it comes to pain. And you were discussing your surgery and they wanted to give you oxy. And you're like, no, I'm not going to take it. How much of pain management also has to do with our mental strength? So, for example, I have ulcerative colitis. I've had it for 33 years, really painful. And I've learned how to deal with the pain in ways that I feel like it's manifested in positive ways. I've taken that energy and used it constructively. But sometimes people can have a small headache and they're completely out of their mind about it. Like they just fall apart. So can you talk a little bit about mindset also when it comes to pain management, and how important is that when people are using holistic products?
Yeah, you bring up a fantastic point because it's really I would say it's probably the cornerstone of all of it. Um, how you approach anything in life is all going to be based on where your mind's coming from. And if you choose to approach something from a negative aspect, guess what? The glass will be half empty. So mindset is a big thing. I have been working very hard to learn to calm my mind down and to so I've been working on various aspects of meditation, and there's so many different modalities out there that have been used. I was one of the guinea pigs for the early uh, hypnosis kind of stuff, EMDR, if you're familiar with that modality. And there's a number of other different ones, and I don't know, for some reason turned out I was a pretty good subject for hypnosis because I was one of the bad boys in Vietnam. I was smoking 4 packs a day. That's how stressed out I was. But I came home and started weaning myself off. It took quite a while. But in 1987, I went out and got myself hypnotized because my second child had just been born, and I just didn't want to be doing that anymore. And I had to go in at about the 6 month mark to get a tune up, but I've never smoked a cigarette since that very first time. In fact, I'm one of those guys they call, you're one of those bad ex-smokers because I'm jumping up and down all the time. Here in the veterans community, Red, they go out and go every once in a while. They'll all meet to drink beer and smoke cigars. I can't participate in that. Or I'll go for the first 10 minutes before they break out the cigars, and then I'll leave. That's how intense it can be for me. But I've learned to set the goals, look at things positively, uh, and then I read constantly, but I do a lot of mindset work for myself because I have to keep myself there because Agent Orange poison is one of those things that it doesn't go away. I got 3, 4, 5 things that are on what they call the presumptive list. If you were in Vietnam and you come up with this diagnosis, it's almost automatically you get some kind of a disability rating based on that. So yeah, I believe strongly the more you can manifest positively, the better off you are in dealing and coping with any kind of pain that you got, from, like you said, yours to some of the stuff that I've had to deal with. And, anybody can deal with it positively.
Thanks for sharing that, Mike. I think that's really important for our audience. Red?
Well, I was thinking about that question because sometimes when we get involved in various studies, you have a control group and then you have another one, and sometimes the control group has nothing but just a placebo. It has nothing in it that's active, but your mind thinks it is, or presumes it is, or infers it is. And so you're actually using your mind to establish some of those controls to moderate pain or some other symptom that you may happen to have. But that brain connection to be able to release, whatever chemicals that need to calm the body down or to calm that area of the body. It's amazing what a placebo can do. And if that's all it is just strictly a thought, okay, here's something that'll probably work for you, and boom, people take it, they get positive results, even though it's just basically a sugar pill for all practical purposes. So yeah, that mindset is, and it works the reverse too. I mean, you can have a perfectly good medicine and it could be doing something and you could still think that you're still suffering. So it's a double-edged sword because if you think it's going to work and it does work, fantastic. But it can also, I mean, it's rare, but you can have people, particularly from Dr. Maxwell Maltz, psychocybernetics, where they have a big scar on their face, it gets fixed, even though they're perfectly fixed, they still see this big scar on their face because that's what they've always seen. It's in the brain. But
Yeah,
but
it's
Mike
all
is
in how,
right.
it's all in how they choose to perceive it. Let me tell a quick story. I was at a veterans health fair, and this guy comes up. He was probably late 40s and complaining of back stuff. So I said, "Okay, well, let's do a quick treatment for you." So we did a quick treatment. Then I said, "If you feel any tingling, or maybe you feel some heat, or you feel some cold, that means that it is working." I mean, I told him, I said, it may not do any of those things and it still could be working, but you have to sort of gauge where you were before we put this stuff on, and then how you are in a half hour, in an hour or so, something like that. So he came and found me about a half an hour later and says, I haven't felt anything. I don't think it's working. Then he came back about an hour after that and said, it's still not working. Nothing's happening. Then just as we're shutting down, he comes over and says, I never did feel anything, and then that's what you said, but I think my pain's gone away a little bit. Anyway, I said, did you just hear what you said? And he walked away and never bought anything, even though it had helped him. So some people, it's all up here. It's all how you perceive it and want to receive it. Because if you really want it, it can be. If you think you can, you can. If you think it's not, it's not.
It's so true. Thanks for sharing that. Maybe 10 days or so ago, I had to go and get a flu shot, and then I had to get the first shingle shot. And the pharmacist said, I'm just telling you that you probably are going to be very sick tomorrow. You'll probably have a fever. And I looked at her, I said, I don't think so. And she said, well, I'm just telling you that's usually what happens. I said, that's not going to happen to me. And I went home and I was like, not happening, and it didn't happen. But sometimes we put ideas in people's heads and then they start obsessing about it, and then it comes to fruition.
Yep, exactly.
Self-fulfilling.
See, I solved that problem with the flu shot. I just don't take it anymore.
Doctor, I think it's just about that time for our commercial break.
Absolutely. We're going to hear from some of our sponsors, and we really appreciate the support that we get. First, we're going to hear from Diane Floyd Bame, and then we'll be back with more from Mike Martin. So stay with us.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diane Floyd Bame's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, 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 kapayapaan.
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at dianefloydbame.com.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
everyone, and thanks for staying with us here at USA Global TV and Radio. We welcome you wherever you're joining us from in the world. Our show is The Wise Ones. Let's get back and welcome Red O'Laughlin. Hello. And our special guest, Mike Martin. Hello. Welcome back.
Hi.
So we've been chatting quite a bit about pain management, how we perceive pain, how we either embrace pain, refute pain. And Mike, you have had your share of pain, and you've also had your share of being pain-free and not needing any surgery on your knees, which is huge. Tell our audience how it is that you work with people. People are out there now, they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to give Mike a call. What does that engagement look like?
Well, if people are going to give me a call, we'll talk for probably no more than about 10 minutes. And I ask a few very specific questions about, well, where do you hurt? Tell me a little bit more about it. Was it an injury? I try to find out those things, age-related. There are age-related things. So once they do that, with my 13 years of experience working with these products, I know what works the best, what's the strongest, what combination of products do we use? Sometimes we'll do combinations of products because our modality, our treatment modality, is we put some of this topical on, we let it absorb and soak into the body. It is a transdermal formula, and then after it's absorbed, we'll put a second layer on, and at that second layer, basically, layer 1 is opening you up. Layer 2 drives it in deep. And generally speaking, within 20 minutes or so, sometimes almost instantaneously, the client is going to be feeling one of those things that I mentioned before, either a tingling, a heat, or a cold based on the ingredients. Because we have ingredients like aloe vera, menthol, turmeric. We got wasabi extract in one of the products. So a little bit of all of the major ones, including menthol, but we have very little menthol as compared to what I call all the menthol-based products like Bengay, Icy Hot, et cetera, et cetera. They make their products different by adding more menthol. So you need to be careful about what you're getting, because sometimes if the product has 10 or 12% menthol, it could actually burn you. It becomes, and when you have that much menthol, it's also very offensive on the nose. Ours has been designed to not have an odor, to work quickly and effectively, to start relieving the pain right away, even for the chronic pain sufferers. So I don't know. Did I answer all that?
Yeah, yes, that was very helpful. Thank you. Yeah, and I also wasn't aware of the fact that the over-the-counter products that have that smell, it's because there's more menthol than, yeah.
Yeah, but most of all the other ones start at 4% menthol as a base. The maximum any one of my single products has is 1.5%. Some of them have even less or zero menthol. But it's the mixture of the others, because the key thing, and Red knows this, there's a lot of ingredients that sit out there just from nature that have anti-inflammatory properties. Mm-hmm. So let's put them on. Let's put a bunch of those together, and they work synergistically together to do the job. And that's how we have become effective over the years. We've been selling this stuff since 1998. Now, the big thing, everybody's raving about CBD. Well, that didn't come around till the hemp plant was legalized and put on, legalized in 2018. We had done some research with that way before. We did a little bit more. We have 3 SKUs now in our product line that have hemp in it, the hemp oil, but it is we extract from that the THC. For a minute, unless a company can prove that they have extracted the THC and they say that hemp doesn't have THC, they're just blatantly lying. And it's an unfortunate situation, but that whole market is still unregulated. Our company did go through the open label project. It's a 501c3. We had all of our stuff checked out, and we got all the major certificates that that were clean. And what we put in our stuff is the amount that we said and what we said. There are no pesticides and no heavy metals in any of our products. No parabens, no SLS, no dyes. All the other things that came up in the late teens about those things being possible dioxins or cancer-causing agents.
Mike, I have a direction I want to take you in just a little bit with regard to this. You mentioned the word synergy when you combine these things together. You also mentioned some other modalities earlier with the EMDR and hypnosis and stuff. When you combine various other modalities, whether it be meditation or emotional freedom techniques or something else, in conjunction with the natural therapeutic effects, the analgesic effects of the products that you have, I'm sure you probably have a couple of stories, but they actually have, sometimes I'm guessing they work better when you add those extra modalities to it.
Oh, absolutely, Red. Yeah, absolutely. I got one great story. I love to tell this one. And the area. I was in Alameda, California, right outside the base. I was at the College of Alameda doing a little small flea market. I had just gotten started. So I had my pop-up, I had my signage, all this kind of stuff. A woman comes strolling up, and she's with a walker. It turned out later on, I found out she was in her late 50s. Her mother had passed from RA, rheumatoid arthritis. And then she shared later she also had fibro and just a real mess. So she comes popping into my tent and says, "All right, Mr. Mike, what kind of snake oil you got here, buddy?" So I looked at her and said, "I have some darn fine snake oil here. Why don't you have a seat? Let's talk for a few minutes. Let me describe what it's all about. Let you try it, and then I'm going to shoo you away. Then you come back in a half an hour and tell me what you think." So I went through that whole exercise with her. We got her out the door, so she wasn't really bothering anybody. She didn't come back in 30 minutes. She came back in 15 minutes. She wheeled her little walker right up to my table, grabbed my sample bottle, turned the whole thing around and started, "Hey, folks, come on in. I just tried this 10 minutes ago. It's fantastic stuff. It really works." So, yeah. And it was really all about the mindset. Because you can convince some people right away. Other people I've had walking by my area with their canes or with their walkers, you could obviously see that they were in pain, and they were just being stubborn and didn't want to try it. And what's interesting, Red, it's mostly men that refuse to try it. I was set up in a concession stand at the VA hospital in Palo Alto, California, and I had folks walking by, and some of them would just pop up. "Oh, I've tried all that stuff, and none of it works." And I would just ask a question. It says, "You've never tried mine, so you ought to at least give it a chance." And some of them would turn around and come back and give it a try. Others would just keep on walking. And I've had a couple of people call me some names. So, but I try to have fun with them because, if you're unwilling to try and be open, then keep suffering, and I just say, "Hey, see you later. Enjoy your life." That's all you can do. You pray for them. That's all. So
Yeah.
what else? What else?
You give them grace and you just let them go on their way, because
you got to let them go. I tell other people that I work with, I said, some will, some won't. So what? Next.
Right. Exactly. Mike, I want to pull up your website just to show people here. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Let me pull it up here.
AskMikeMartin.com, or you can go to That's my personal site. And then the company site is a bigger one. I would like to make a quick offer to anybody that's listening. You see my contact information. Send me an email with your first, last name, and then I'll have your email, and I will get a $10 gift certificate sent to you from the company if you fill out the information when you get the email from the company. It's really cool. It puts $10 into the shopping cart waiting for you to execute a purchase, and I can make the suggestions. And the company has monthly sales. And if you'd like to have my catalog, that we have electronic catalog, just let me know catalog, and then I'll add you to that list.
Mike, we're running
Fabulous.
down toward the end of the show, but before
Yes,
we
sir.
get to the last minute or so, can you take about 30 seconds to a minute and tell the audience about the Holistic Chamber of Commerce? Because I know that's an area that's very near and dear to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Holistic Chamber of Commerce obviously is in that narrower niche of holistic or alternative medicine. It is a 11, 12-year-old operation. They're based out of the LA area is where it started. I think the president is now living in Vegas, but we basically are all about sharing about all the different mind, body, spirit. That's what holistic really means: mind, body, and spirit. How can you combine all those things to maximize everything? And we're all about the environment as well, because if you can combine and be working from the pillars of health that I call, and that is breathing clean air, drinking clean water, and then trying to minimize those meds that have side effects. Try to use alternatives, and there are various kinds of alternatives. There, like Dr. JACALYN said, you've got the things from the mindset, and you can get coaches to help you with that. You can get other folks to help you with all kinds of different modalities for pain relief. And sometimes you can combine some of those, and it has a multiplier effect, is what I tell people. I tell people, go get that massage, and then have the massage therapist add this stuff to it. I have a bunch of massage therapists that use this in their practices, and it's amazing. It's almost 100% hit rate when they put. If somebody complains about a really deep pain, they put our stuff on them, and the customer always ends up buying it too. So if you want to come to the Holistic Chamber, I am one of the few chapters left in the country that does an in-person meeting and Zoom meeting at the same time, or a hybrid meeting. So if you're interested in that, all I need again is just put Holistic Chamber in the email you sent to me, and I will send you an invitation. And Red, I'm very consistent in sending out my invitations.
Fantastic. Great
And
stories.
anybody that you all know that could possibly be a good guest speaker for us, because Red has been on a couple of times, and everybody, the feedback I get about Red when he starts talking about that stuff at the cellular level, let me tell you, sometimes that stuff's going over my head like here, but it opens up our eyes to look at things from a different perspective. And that's what you got to do. You got to open up and be able, and I really want to listen to your stuff, Dr. JACALYN, because I preach about you got to be able to listen and take the inputs that you got, because listening is the key skill for success.
Thank you, Mike. You hit the nail on the head. Listen to your body, listen to your intuition, listen to experts like Mike who have the experience, and reach out. Mike is here. He's given his information. He's given an offer, and he wants to help you. So why sit and struggle with pain when there's an alternative? Reach out to Mike. Ask Mike Martin at gmail.com. Also, you can schedule a one-on-one with him. Ask Mike Martin appoint appointlet.com. Mike, last words from you before we sign off.
All I would do is encourage people to be open, listen, try different things. That's the secret, I think, to success. You got to try different things that might help alleviate you. Don't always rely on Western medicine. There's other modalities out there that have been there for thousands of years. Take advantage of that. Take advantage of the things from nature. And the one thing that most people don't realize, most of those drugs are coming out of the Amazon. It comes from somewhere as a plant, a tree, a root, or whatever. And then what do? To patent it, they got to change one molecule. And when they change the one molecule, that's when you start getting the side effects. And it's all the big pharma's trying to do is minimize the side effects so they can get it sold. Amen. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Mike, for a brilliant interview. I really do appreciate it. Red, how can people get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, which is red.olaughlin.com. Red, like the color, R-E-D. O'Laughlin, O-L-A-U-G-H-L-I-N. So Red O'Laughlin, RED-OLAUGHLIN.com. And my contact information is there on the banner. And regular phone is fine. I'm not responsive as quickly to just a message on the phone as I am. Text is probably the least effective way to reach me, but I'd say phone call number 1, email number 2, text number 3. But another way to reach me is another red at red.olaughlin.com is one email address, and the other one is red.olaughlin@gmail.com. But those are easy ways to reach me.
Thank you, Red. And I have to laugh because I know texting you is the worst way, and I love texting. We're the exact opposite. I just want to close out with one quick promotion about my new book that I've been working with Red on. It's coming out 12/14, and we were talking about elevated listening. This book is called The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor, and it's to teach children and their families how to listen at an elevated level. And you may be wondering, what is listening at an elevated level? It means listening without interrupting, listening without judging, listening without providing solutions, and listening without stealing the stage and making it about yourself. And each and every one of the animal characters on the book represents a real life person who is an elevated listener and who's certified in the power of listening. So Red is on there. Red is the red ibis bird on the book cover. So that will be coming out on the 14th on Amazon. And thank you, Red, for being part of the book and also for being my book coach and editor.
You're most welcome.
All right, we're signing off so Red can come back with his own show on Talking Heads. Mike, an honor and a pleasure to meet you. Come back and see us again. And thank you,
very
everybody.
much.
Bye for
Bye
now.
now.
Bye-bye.